Coming up next is a special address by Gaurav Hariom Gupta, Director, Road Safety and EAP, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Government of India. This will be followed by a panel discussion on progressing towards safer highways. This discussion will be moderated by Megha Manchanda, Assistant Editor, Digital Content, ETInfra. Let's start the session. Welcome, everyone.
My greetings to all of you. I'm honored to be part of this event. Thank you for inviting me. Road safety continues to be a major developmental issue, a public health concern, and a leading cause of injury and death across the world. Globally, road accident deaths are over 1.35 million per year, out of which 11% deaths are shared by Indian road networks only. In India, the reported number of accidents during the year 2020 is around 3.6 lakhs, leading to around 1.32 lakh deaths. Most vulnerable road users are two-wheelers riders who contribute to almost 33% of road accident deaths. 70% deaths are in the most productive age group of 18 to 45-year-old. More than 67% deaths are due to over-speeding on Indian roads. Safety precautions like wearing helmet can save 30% deaths, and wearing seat belts can save up to 14% deaths. Safe roads are as important to the national life as are the safe arteries to a healthy body. They are the networks of the lifelines that keep the country healthy and intact. Ministry of Road Transport and Highways is committed to bring down deaths by 50% till 2030 as per Stockholm Declaration and UN SDGs. Ministry has formulated a comprehensive national road safety strategy to address the issue based on 4 E's of road safety, that is education, engineering of road and vehicle both, enforcement and emergency care services. I would like to talk about few of the key initiatives taken by the ministry for improvement of road safety. Like for education, to create effective public awareness about road safety, ministry undertakes various publicity measures and awareness campaign on road safety through social media, electronic media, and print media. Further, ministry implements a road safety advocacy scheme to provide financial assistance to various agencies, NGOs, for administering road safety advocacy. As far as road engineering is concerned, road safety has been made an integral part of road design at planning stage. Road safety audit of all highway projects has been made mandatory at all stages, that is design, construction, operation, and maintenance. High priority to identification and rectification of black spots or accident-prone spots on national highway. Further, ministry has signed an MOU with Save Life Foundation for implementation of their successful model of zero fatality corridor on national highways, which has resulted in successful reduction of more than 50% deaths or fatalities because of road accident on Mumbai-Pune highway. A study on 3 stretches in the state of UP, Maharashtra, and Telangana has already been conducted. Implementation of recommendation are under progress. Further additional stretches of 12 states has been identified, and a study on the same is also under progress. Ministry has worked on the program of electronic detailed accident report, erstwhile IRAD, we used to call. That is an initiative of the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways to establish an accurate and structured framework for accident data collection across the country. The purpose of the software is to establish a central repository for reporting, management, and analysis of road accident data. Presently, live accident entries are in progress in 31 states / UTs across the country. As far as initiatives in vehicle engineering are considered, so few I will mention. Like recently, in addition to mandatory provision of an airbag for co-passenger next to the driver, Ministry has issued draft notification to make a minimum of 6 airbag compulsory in vehicles carrying up to 8 passengers to enhance safety of the occupants. Ministry has prescribed norms related to safety measures for children below 4 years of age, riding or being carried on a motorcycle. Further, it specifies use of a safety harness, crash helmet, and restrict speed up to 40 km per hour. Ministry is also working on a proposal in consultation with all stakeholders to formulate a plan which would test and assess the star ratings of new car models sold or being sold in the Indian market under the Bharat New Car Assessment Program. This performance will be measured on safety assessment on various identified parameters: structural safety of car, safety of adult occupants of car, safety of child occupants of car, assessment of car for pedestrian friendly design, provision of active and passive safety assist technologies, etc. Ministry has been working in association with the states, vehicle manufacturers, and NGOs for strengthening the driving training. IDTRs, RDTCs, and DTCs, like various driver training centers, are being established, which act as a model with state-of-art infrastructure to ensure good driving skills and knowledge of rules of road regulations among the drivers. A scheme for creating accredited driving training centers in all the districts of the country and support refresher training programs for heavy commercial vehicle drivers has been launched. Poor maintenance and use of non-fitness certified vehicles causes accident and deaths. To mitigate the situation, Ministry is setting up model inspection and certification centers in the states and UTs. For enforcement, the Motor Vehicle Act 1988 is the principal instrument through which road transport is regulated in the country. The same has been amended first time in a comprehensive way after 30 years by the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act 2019. MVA has been amended for stricter penalties for traffic violations, electronic monitoring and enforcement, making vehicles safe and improve road safety standards, cashless treatment of victims, and rules for good Samaritans. For emergency care, as part of operation and maintenance of national highways, there are provisions of ambulances with paramedical staff, emergency medical team with technician, nurse, which are stationed near the toll plazas. To motivate people to help accident victims, a scheme for grant of award to Good Samaritan, who has saved life of a victim of fatal accident by administering assistance within the golden hour of the accident, launched by this ministry. Further, last but not the least, it has been seen that road safety is mostly a behavioral issue. It can only be addressed together with all stakeholders, state government, corporate houses, auto industry and their associations, universities, NGOs, and society at large. Actually, the role of the public is the key of safe roads in any country. Mahatma Gandhi said, the future depends on what we do in the present. So we all have to decide and act with full faith and resolve. Nothing can stop us from achieving our aim of zero fatality, zero deaths because of road accidents. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to welcome our guest speakers for this session, Mr. Ashish Kundra, Principal Secretary and Transport Commissioner with the Delhi government, and Mr. P. Ravinder Rao, Engineer-in-Chief with the government of Telangana. It is our honor to have you with us today. With this, I would like Mr. Kundra to begin the session. Mr. Kundra, if I could start by asking you, what are the key ingredients, according to you, for safe roads?
At the outset, I would like to focus on the road design. That is one. Number two, it is the getting a sense of the road amongst drivers. That means lane discipline, awareness building amongst drivers, which includes, the basically avoiding use of intoxication, over speeding, amongst passengers for wearing helmets and things like that. So broadly that, and lastly, I would say that the rigor in which we test drivers before we put them on roads. So the quality of testing of drivers, in the process of getting a driving license itself is a key factor.
So this is from the consumer point of view. This is from a driver point of view. What about designing and construction point of view that we can have roads which are safer?
Yeah, so that's what I said. The first thing which I mentioned was the design of the roads. And within that, we have multiple users on roads, especially in the urban context. We have cyclists, we have non-motorized transport, we have buses, we have cars, we have two-wheelers, all jostling for the same space. And therefore, the key is that if we have intuitive road designs, in which the cyclists are able to safely navigate along the cycle paths designated for them. Pedestrians are able to walk either on the sidewalks or designated marked out areas. And the buses, they stick onto the bus lanes, which are marked out for them. Then it becomes a much more, let us say, wholesome kind of road design. And similarly, on junctions, on some of the intersection points of roads, where the pedestrians are very vulnerable. So the marking out of safe walking zones, marking out certain pedestrian islands so that they can, stand there before navigating when the lights are on for them, then they can navigate the main roads. So those are the kind of things that are required for an overall road design. And a whole lot of engineering things which are required, which I don't think I can dwell upon in this short time. But yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kundra. I would like to move on to Mr. Rao. Now I would request you to share your views on road safety.
Thank you, Megha. Road safety is a serious problem considered by the World Health Organization. It is a public health issue, and about 1.3 million people are dying on the roads in the world. In India, I think 10 to 11% of the road deaths are occurring in India, in our country. Now, realizing the seriousness of the situation, the global conference at ministerial level in the year 2020 has taken place at Stockholm. And the approach adopted by Sweden and the Netherlands, I think the Sweden has adopted a zero fatality rate approach, and the Netherlands also a sustainable road safety approach they have adopted, and they have succeeded in reducing the road accidents substantially. And the approach they adopted is basically it is based on the safety safe system approach. That kind of approach, I think we have not adopted in our country so far. I think we need to shift from the traditional approach to the safe system approach. And the safe system approach is an integral or integrated approach which puts the responsibility on the whole stakeholders. And unlike the traditional approach where the multiple stakeholders have been functioning in silos. There is no proper coordination among the stakeholders regarding the road safety issue. I think the basic difference is that the another basic difference between the safety system approach and the traditional approach is that the safety traditional approach puts the emphasis on giving the mobility rather than safety, whereas the safe system approach is the predominant emphasis given is the predominancy is given to the safety. Within the safety principle, if you can achieve higher mobility, that is okay. But whereas the traditional approach, you are giving the importance or priority to the mobility than the safety. So that is the basic difference between the traditional approach and the safety system approach. I think we need to switch over to the safety system approach, which is what that has been recommended by the in the Stockholm Declaration, which was in the month of February 2020, and even UN Decade of Global Safety Action Plan also recommends that the countries need to adopt the safety system approach than the traditional approach. I think that there we need to begin and put in place a national road safety management system at the national level, and then at the state level and at the district level. We need to have road safety management systems basing on this safety system approaches. I think once we start doing that, I think the goal of halving the road fatalities by 2030, that is the goal set by the in the declaration. I think we can achieve that kind of goal unless that paradigm shift takes place. I think it is not possible to achieve the goal of halving the road deaths by 2030. That is my view. And as far as Telangana is concerned, the road accidents have been over the last 5 years. There has been some reduction in the road accidents, but the number of deaths, that corresponding decrease in the number of deaths is not taking place. This could be due to the reasons that the speeds have increased because of the improvement in the road conditions, and severity rate. That severity rate is nothing but the number of deaths for 100 accidents. That severity rate has been increasing in all over India as well as in Telangana state also.
Okay.
Yeah, the number of, even though there has been reduction in the number of accidents, but the number of deaths is not decreasing proportionately. I think it is due to the increase in the severity rate. So that is the main concern. I think the safe system approach is basically, I have 4 elements that we need to have safer roads, we need to have safer vehicles, and then we need to have speed management, then we need to have safer road users also. The changing the behavior of the road users so that they can follow the road, whatever rules that are applicable for the proper usage of the road system. I think unless we have these 4 elements in place, and we cannot reduce the number of.
That's right, sir. Now we would like to speak to Mr. Kundra. Sir, NHI in the past had actually come out with the golden hour in terms of providing safety, providing first aid to any kind of road accidents which happened on the highways. So I wanted to ask you, what would be the role of states in doing similar things or towards similar initiatives?
In case of urban environments like Delhi, the traffic police are the first responders, or the local police, in fact, is the first responder in case of any accident. And then they give a call to the CATS ambulance, which reaches in a short span of time. And then, of course, they take them to the emergency trauma centers, wherever there are trauma centers. So you're right that this golden hour is a crucial kind of a factor for saving lives and avoiding fatalities And in this regard, of course, now each the challenge is that there are multiple agencies which are involved in the entire framework. So we have traffic police on one hand, we have the local police on the other hand, we have the medical authorities which are the recipients of crash victims, we have the ambulance services, and then we have the transport department per se, which is kind of the overall focal point for diagnostics, for policy, regulatory, and all those kind of things. So getting all of them on a common technology platform is crucial, and I think the IRAD framework, which the government of India has started, and Delhi is in the process of becoming part of it, is very much aligned towards these, so that there's a seamless kind of data sharing amongst all stakeholders.
So now my next question is for Mr. Rao. So you mentioned about safer roads and the importance of safer roads. How important are engineering and design for building safer roads? How can we reduce accidents by better designs?
Yeah, certainly safer roads means the road system should be a forgiving road. Now, the traditional what we have been doing is that we are designing the roads based on the geometric the standards that are stipulated in the Indian Roads Congress manuals, but that should not be the approach. The approach should be that the road system, even if a road user makes a mistakes, it is humans are bound to make mistakes, and we need to take into consideration that aspect and design the roads. So when we design the roads, taking that factor into consideration, I think then you can say that the road design is safer. And where the road user, even if they commit a mistake, still it is forgiven because of the design of the road, or design of the vehicle, such that even a small mistake which are routinely done by the human beings, that can be forgiven, and the accident, even if it takes place, it doesn't result in a serious injury or death. So that is the concept of safer road. That concept of safer road has to be now incorporated into the design of highways. And then I think there has been already a commencement in this direction. There has now people are designing the roads that way. For example, if we take now in the traditional approach, if one travels from point A to point B, the traditional approach has been that the designer used to do what kind of design that allows the road user to travel at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, say, for example, but without giving into priority for the road safety features. While doing that 100 kilometers per hour, they might be doing that road safety component as a kind of a secondary aspect, but not as a main aspect. Now, in the safety system approach, what one does is that if the road is laid from point A to point B, then whatever the road design elements are there, then they would calculate what is the safe speed that can be allowed on this particular road from point A to point B, and arrive at the safe speed. Then they will indicate that is the speed of the road where you can travel. It is the other way around. So in the traditional approach, you design the road on engineering criteria for 100 kilometers per hour, and then while doing that, whatever that can be done to incorporate the safety features, they will do. But here it is the other way around. So you design from point A to point B, and whatever the design elements taking into consideration, then you arrive at the safe speed and allow that indicate that speed as the safe speed. So that is the safe system approach.
Moving back to Mr. Kundra, also, do you think that some kind of synergy between states, private sector, and the central government is needed to have safer roads?
Yeah, so in a city environment, I would say civil society does have a significant role to play. We have had, in fact, some very public-spirited organizations who are working with us for pilot testing out of road redesign for pedestrian safety and other safety measures. So that is one part of the story. Then there are some other civil society organizations which are working for safe school environments, school children coming out at peak hours. um, that's a risk for them. Sometimes they cross road and it's unsafe for them. At a third level, I think the real opportunity lies between the state and research institutions to partner. For example, we have established a memorandum of understanding with IIT Delhi, and there is a center there which is specializing in transport research, and they have been working for decades on in the field of road safety. So to get the academia and policymakers to come together for a robust framework, I think that is something which will be very, very helpful.
And so you mentioned about academia. Will bringing in schools on this platform, catching them young, as we say, bringing in school students, involving them in this initiative, do you think that can help? And is there any discussion with any state body or with the education body for the same?
Yeah, so we have a very preliminary idea of establishing something called road safety clubs. For environment, for instance, if you recall, eco clubs were established in schools to build awareness about environment, and they would plant trees, etc., etc. So similarly, in schools and in colleges, to set up road safety clubs. And what we are trying to do is to, for us, the way I look at it, driving these days is like a life skill. And we are reaching a time and age when lack of driving skill is going to be an impediment for progression, in life. We have tried to rope in eight, in fact, 10 institutes of Delhi, technical institutes, to give us some space for establishing driving test tracks inside their campus, so that all students who are coming there can, perforce go through the rigor of learning driving on those test tracks. So trying to build an environment of learning which is in which driving is integral to it. So yes, you're right. And as I said earlier, that the quality of drivers that we put on road is the crucial thing. See, the moment you turn 18, you become eligible for a learner license. And therefore, going backwards, if we start giving some kind of a preliminary training on signages of roads, on the importance of lane driving, on the risks of driving fast, etc., etc. Because road rage again is something which, in fact, it is the youth which perhaps it is there's a factor of thrill in driving fast, which at a certain age the adrenaline rush is the most pronounced, and that is why for them it is all the more important that they kind of are aware of the risks that they are putting others' lives to and their own lives in driving fast or irresponsibly.
So
Yes.
interesting that you mentioned about these eight to 10 institutes which are looking at these initiatives. Would it be possible for you to give us a little more detail about those initiatives and the institutes which are involved?
So we have got this corporation of the transport department called Delhi Transport Infrastructure Development Corporation, which is tied up with polytechnics and ITIs of Delhi, and they have agreed to earmark land, and we have made the designs. In fact, we have floated the bids already for establishing these test tracks inside these institutes. So I hope that in the next 4 to 5 months we would have these tracks ready, and students will be able to learn. And I'm sure if there are more institutions, because typically schools or colleges, they tend to have, not always, but they tend to sometimes have larger tracts of spare land available with them. And these days we can have very compact designs for driving test tracks. And if there is willingness for any institution for us to spend money to establish the tracks, we would be happy to do it.
So, sir, you approach these institutions according to your initiatives, or it is the other way around?
No, we reached out to them. So it is, I thought that, this thought, if we have some pilots in the city, and frankly, the reason it started, and let me be candid, was that we had a limitation of driving test tracks in the city. We have about 10 or 11 of them, and the demand was far more. So for us, it makes sense if we ease out the load on them, for at least the captive audiences in different institutions. It becomes easier. But then this thought got more evolved, and we said that this is a life skill now anyway. And why should we not encourage it for the youth of our city?
And are you aware of other states which are doing similar initiatives, if not the
Not to
same?
my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. But you constantly engage with these NGOs and the state and other states and institutions for these safety measures, is what you said. In terms of engagement with the central government, because if why I'm asking you this question is because sometime back, rather almost every event, the Minister Gadkari has always said that road accidents is one area where he feels that he hasn't done enough. So, if I may ask you, what kind of engagement do you have with the central government, and what are the initiatives that you are doing together or planning to do together?
So, central government, of course, sets the regulatory framework. And that regulatory framework is applicable across the country. For example, there is a regulatory requirement that there will be speed limiting devices in buses. Buses cannot run more than 40 kilometers an hour. Similar rule applies for commercial passenger vehicles like taxis or other things. So then once they bring out a regulatory framework, it is for us to make sure that these kind of vehicles are compliant with those standards. So in the area of research, in the area of standard setting, in the area of regulatory policy, we collaborate with central government. In fact, they are the ones who kind of take the lead, but there are other organizations, for example, the ARAI, which is body which is set up by the Ministry of Heavy Industry, but it kind of partners with the Ministry of Road Transport for any changes or updates in the central motor vehicle rules. So the rule setting framework is led by the central government, and inputs of the state wherever based on the ground feedback are factored into that. Yeah, but I think as you rightly said, Honorable Minister, since he's made this statement about road safety, typically the mindset or the approach of the road construction engineers is to build wide roads and which can carry vehicles faster. But the fact of the matter is faster vehicles means riskier roads. And that's what the global experience has shown. So therefore, it is all the more important that we embed within the road design framework parameters which are amenable to road safety or are in harmony with the requirements of road safety, whether it's in urban area or on national highways.
So now my next question is for Mr. Rao. Do you have any examples of such roads which have been built in Telangana, where these parameters have been kept in mind?
Yeah, we have one road, outer ring road to Hyderabad city, which is of 158 kilometers, and it is a access controlled expressway where everything is taken care of. It is not a open system road. Generally, our roads are open system roads, where there is access by anybody at any point of time. One can access the road. So that is open system road. Most of the roads are open system roads, whereas this particular access control road is a closed system road. So that is the main why the road accidents are taking place, because 99% of our roads are open system roads where the access is not controlled. That unlike, so for example, if you take metros or you take other modes of travel, there it is not a open system. You cannot have the access, but here you have the access wherever you want. So that is the reason why this kind of road accidents are taking place. So this particular road is constructed of 158 kilometers of 8-lane road along with the service roads, which is a closed system. And if you want to have the access to the system, you need to enter the entry and exit into the road system of road user is controlled and taking place at certain speeds. So which is resulting in such kind of safe system approach built road.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. I would request both our esteemed panelists to please share their closing remarks, and we will start with Mr. Kundra.
I think I would like to say that this is a collective mission, and it is not something which A, B, or C agency or individual can even hope to achieve alone. The fact of the matter is that the population that is kind of falling into the zone of risk because of road accidents, it is the younger population which is at risk the most. That's what data has shown, and therefore we will be losing productive population of our country if we are not embedding road safety, whether in driving, whether in training, whether in road design, or the overall ecosystem. So I think that discipline on roads is crucial. I mean, we have to learn from examples from around the world, how they have evolved and how within cities or on highways there is discipline, there is a sense of sticking to the rules which are laid down. That strictness of enforcement is something which will have to be inculcated within and from outside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kundra. Request Mr. Rao to please share your closing remarks as well.
I said earlier that we need to shift from the traditional approach to this safety system approach that is being done in the countries like Netherlands and Sweden. They have been able to reduce the accidents drastically. It is in hundreds. It is in, I think, just 108 deaths have occurred in the year 2020 in Sweden. So I think that kind of number, if you want to achieve that kind of drastic reduction in the road accidents, we need to shift and we need to upgrade our roads, and then even retrofitting of the existing roads has to be done, taking that safety system approach, and then I think we can achieve. But then we need to have, this is only safer roads, not enough. Safer roads is not enough. We need to have safer vehicles. We need to have safer road users, and then speed management. Speed management is the most important. Unless we enforcement of the speed limits, whatever speed that is allowable on that particular road, we cannot achieve the reduction in the traffic accidents.
Thank you, Mr. Kundra, and thank you, Mr. Rao, for your valuable inputs on such an important subject of road safety. It was indeed a pleasure talking to both of you.
Thank you everyone for such an informative session. We always try to bring the top names from the industry, and to get such content from all of you makes the purpose of these symposiums successful. Ladies and gentlemen, try to get the maximum benefit out of these discussions. Now let's move further and explore more.